I'm His Highness the Crown Prince's shadow guard. After a banquet, His Highness was drugged with an aphrodisiac by some corrupt official who didn't know his place. I happened to be there at the scene. I was pulled away by His Highness who had lost all reason, and we ended up tangled together. 3 months later one day, I clutched my stomach, my face pale as a sheet. Can someone tell me why a man would be carrying a child? I escaped the capital in the chaos, and finally let my guard down for a good night's sleep. Half asleep, I felt someone caressing my belly. He even kissed it. I woke up with a start and found myself in familiar arms. He held me, his whole body trembling, and spoke in a hoarse voice. 不听话, Xiaoqi actually left alone with my child. So disobedient, you need to be punished. Lately my appetite has been huge, making my clothes tight. When the boss came over, I was wolfing down food. Food comes first, no matter what. Nothing can stop me from eating. The boss took off his mask and flicked my forehead. Eat, eat, eat. 5 meals a day. Are you turning into a pig? Tell me. Why have you been switching shifts with Wu and the others this whole month? I kept ignoring him, feeling miserable, just focused on eating. Who knows when my next meal will be? One day it might be my last meal before execution. How can I not eat more while I can? At least I'll die with a full stomach. The boss chuckled and wasn't bothered by my rudeness. He grabbed my bowl away, looking dead serious. His Highness even asked about you today because of this. Hearing this, my body instantly froze. My tightly bound belly suddenly felt strange. I quickly reacted and jumped up. I put on my mask. Boss, I'm full. You take your time eating. Stop right there. My foot that had just crossed the threshold froze. Without hesitation, I rushed out again, but I went too fast. I crashed right into someone's chest. This familiar scent made my blood run cold. I quickly adjusted my posture and lowered my head. I knelt on the ground and bowed. Greetings, Your Highness. 年殿下的 boss hurriedly got up to greet him. Greetings, Your Highness. Greetings, Your Highness. My heart was churning. I prayed the boss would quickly escort His Highness inside so I could slip away. But His Highness just stood in front of me, not moving. He didn't say a word. The atmosphere instantly dropped below freezing. Cold sweat broke out on my forehead. Why isn't His Highness leaving? Has he discovered something? I was anxiously overthinking. My belly started aching from the tension. Seeing the awkward atmosphere, the boss spoke up again. May I ask if Your Highness has urgent business with the shadow guards? His Highness still didn't respond. Just when I couldn't take it anymore, His Highness suddenly spoke. Did you find him? The boss froze and immediately apologized. Forgive me, Your Highness. We haven't found him yet. Of course you won't find him. I already took care of all the evidence. His Highness chuckled softly, then went quiet for a long time, like he was waiting for something. He can't escape from my grasp anyway. Keep looking. As soon as His Highness finished speaking, a hand grabbed my wrist. Before I could react, a handsome face appeared right in front of me. I was so grateful for keeping my good habit. The mask hid my panicked expression. I don't know if it was my imagination, but I felt his breathing hitch. His body also tensed for a moment. I lost my balance and fell into His Highness's arms again. Alarm bells went off in my head. I'm done for. Forgive me, Your Highness. I deserve to die. I tried to get up and leave, but found his arm wrapped around my waist. His hand was positioned right on my belly. His Highness's clear, magnetic voice came from above. Xiaoqi has gotten a bit plump since we last met. Your health seems to be improving. Then he actually started feeling around. My heart was pounding with fear. Even though I wrapped my belly with silk cloth, careful touching could still detect the shape. Hearing His Highness say I got fat, I breathed a sigh of relief. Right. No one would think in that direction. After all, I'm a man. Thank you for your concern, Your Highness. I'll go train more. I'll get back in shape soon to serve Your Highness. As I spoke, I tried to move away from His Highness. His Highness playfully toyed with the belt around my waist. Then, he said with a smile, since Xiaoqi is so devoted to me, why don't you just serve by my side directly? I was so scared my body went limp. I forgot to struggle, so I didn't see that triumphant smile above. I was just thinking about my original plan to fake my death and escape. Now half that path is blocked. What should I do? Despite the boss's protests, I packed my things and came to the Eastern Palace. His Highness ordered the eunuch beside him to take my luggage and arrange it. I quietly followed behind His Highness. He sat down and looked at me. He frowned slightly. Take off the mask. I replied nervously, Your Highness, that's not proper. From now on, you'll serve by my side. You have nothing to do with the shadow guards anymore. Why wear it? I looked up in shock. I met His Highness's smiling, deep eyes. My heart started racing. I must be too nervous. That's why I'm like this. I can't bear to part with it. I nodded blankly, praying His Highness would change his mind. But His Highness put away his smile and coldly ordered, come here. I didn't dare disobey and walked over to kneel in front of His Highness. Please reconsider, Your Highness. I'm just a rough person. I only know how to fight with swords. I'm afraid I can't serve Your Highness well. Please punish me. So you still can't bear to leave Dai and the others? His cold tone came from above. I couldn't help but shiver. What does this have to do with the boss and the others? Why is His Highness being so persistent today? Usually His Highness would have kicked me out by now. Has he discovered something? So he insists on keeping me in the Eastern Palace. The more I thought about it, the more scared I got. My belly started feeling uncomfortable again. I didn't expect His Highness to be right in front of me. He grabbed my chin with one hand. I was forced to lift my head. His other hand removed my mask and tossed it aside. Without the mask's protection, this was the second time I faced His Highness up close. Meeting His Highness's gaze, the coldness in his eyes melted away. His slightly upturned lips showed his good mood. There was even a hint of sensuality in his expression. I remembered that night's intimate scene again. No. He's looking for someone to silence them. His Highness wouldn't do that. Xiaoqi is quite pleasing to look at. Do you have someone you fancy? His voice was seductive. My face turned red, and I quickly looked away. My chin also left His Highness's hand. I straightened up and knelt properly again. Your Highness, Ida. I don't have anyone I fancy. His Highness laughed out loud. Xiaoqi. He tapped the table and said softly, You're afraid of me. I shrank my neck, trying to ignore the discomfort in my belly, and held my breath. Your Highness has a divine presence. I naturally feel reverence. His Highness stopped teasing. All right, I won't joke with you anymore. Go settle in. Since you're in the Eastern Palace, forget everything from before. I said yes, and His Highness was satisfied enough to let me go. Only after leaving the palace and feeling that gaze disappear did I breathe easy. Thinking about His Highness's strange attitude, my brain started spinning. I mentally reviewed whether I left any evidence behind. But no matter how I think about it, there's no way it could trace back to me. Unless... Xia Ying. Master Qi, your chamber is here. My thoughts were interrupted. I thanked him with a pale face. I was surprised we hadn't walked far. Why did we reach the destination so quickly? I looked back with confusion, and found it was right next to His Highness's chamber. I quickly called out to the eunuch. But I was told it was His Highness's arrangement. They couldn't change my quarters without permission. Oh, Master Qi, His Highness is going hunting outside the capital in a few days. He told me to tell you to rest well these days. You'll go together when the time comes. The eunuch's envious look made me feel like I had a target on my back. I had no choice. After checking no one was around, I closed all the doors and windows. I pulled down the bed curtains and carefully removed my clothes and unwrapped the binding cloth. The moment it was unwrapped, relief washed over me. Looking at my protruding belly, my eyes reddened. I felt inexplicably wronged. His Highness is a good person, but he's the crown prince. If it's discovered he was involved with a man, and even got the man pregnant, it would cause a huge scandal. This child absolutely cannot be discovered. I fiercely wiped away my tears. Disgusted by my tear-stained hands, I slapped them on the bedding. Damn it, why am I becoming more like a delicate woman? It must be this belly causing trouble. Thinking about what the little eunuch said about hunting, I made up my mind. For this little one's sake, I can't be blamed for betraying my master. If I'm discovered, I'm dead anyway. Running away gives me a 50-50 chance. Might as well take the risk. After this brainstorming, I planned to wrap the cloth back on, but somehow I dozed off. Half asleep, I smelled a familiar scent. The scent was very close to me. It moved down and stopped in my belly. I seemed to hear soft laughter. I felt something soft touch my belly. I wanted to wake up, but couldn't open my eyes. I fell into deep sleep. These days, His Highness indeed hasn't summoned me. It's rare to have some peace, except for meals and dealing with people. While the rest of the time I stayed in my room, giving my belly a few days of relief. But embarrassingly, I seemed to dream about someone every night. Especially the night before departure. It was particularly embarrassing. On departure day, I was completely listless. Quite a few officials came along this time. I was slow, gradually fell behind, and ended up very close to them. The officials' daughters were all excited. Even from several distances away, you could hear them gushing over His Highness's divine looks. I sneakily glanced toward His Highness. His Highness seemed especially refreshed today. He looked more spirited than the past few days, like he knew I was peeking at him. He looked in my direction. Aha, His Highness looked at me. Nonsense, His Highness was clearly looking at me. A very disdainful female voice interrupted their fantasies. As if. His Highness is looking at my sister. Besides my sister, who else is worthy of the handsome and mighty crown prince? This familiar voice belongs to the Prime Minister's daughter. I looked over at the sound. The Prime Minister's eldest daughter was indeed as stunningly beautiful as the rumor said. Even though I've been staying indoors these days, gossip still found its way to me. His Majesty intends to betroth the Prime Minister's eldest daughter to His Highness as crown princess. Rumors are spreading without anyone stopping them. The current escalating situation damages the young lady's reputation, but it shows this is a dumb deal. His Highness probably has no objections. Otherwise, with His Highness's personality, he would have firmly denied it. I felt very happy. I looked at that young lady like she was a treasure. Completely unaware someone had appeared beside me. That sinister voice rang in my ear. Which young lady is Xiaoqi looking at? I was so startled I almost fell off my horse. That person was quick and caught me. Before I realized what happened, I was in his arms. The familiar scent was behind me. He held me as we rode together on horseback. Hearing the gasps around us, I realized what had happened. I know I'm a bit slow, but I'm definitely not stupid. Looking down at the arms wrapped around my waist, massive panic swept over me. His Highness probably recognized that I was the one from that night long ago. I controlled my trembling voice and quietly thanked him. Tried to keep up appearances, stiffly reaching for my horse. not letting him realize I've already noticed something's wrong. Since His Highness didn't deal with me immediately and has been toying with me, it proves I still have room to maneuver. This hunt is my last chance to escape. Tia hasn't answered my question yet. His Highness chuckled softly in my ear, secretly blocking my movement. I was trapped in his arms, unable to move an inch. I was so scared I didn't dare move, my mind going blank. Maybe if he knew I had feelings for a woman, His Highness would mercifully spare my life. I felt so wronged. That night wasn't my fault. It was clearly his doing. I closed my eyes, gritted my teeth, and said a name. The air around us instantly turned ice cold. His Highness tightened his grip on me and suddenly whipped the horse. The horse bolted in pain, galloping wildly. It was my first time being held while riding a horse. Heat was churning inside me. I felt awful. After a long while, His Highness finally stopped the horse. I leaned against his chest, red-faced and gasping for air. Strangely, my stomach was perfectly protected. I didn't feel anything wrong at all. His Highness was in a great mood. Ki, holding you feels so familiar, as if. Your Highness. I quickly escaped his embrace, got down from the horse, and knelt. Your Highness, I already have feelings for a woman. Please stop teasing me. My heart was crying out. Why won't he let me go even after I said I like a woman? Am I really doomed to die? His Highness looked down at me, his tone seeming to carry a hint of gritted teeth. Fine. Bring her before me. Don't try to deceive me with empty words. I looked up in shock, meeting his smiling but chilling gaze. Heaven has forsaken me. Even after reaching the hunting camp, I was still wondering where to find a cue key to present. But soon, Kukui wasn't the biggest problem anymore. His Highness left in anger, leaving me alone at the camp. There was commotion outside. Someone shouted about assassins. I wanted to check what was happening when a flying sword burst through the tent. Before I could react, a shadow guard appeared and deflected it. The Prime Minister's second daughter had somehow run into my tent. Her panicked expression faded with the fighting sounds, replaced by disdain. Her eyes were arrogant, looking at me like I was some dog. So you're that male seductress who's been clinging to His Highness to get into the Eastern Palace. Me clinging to His Highness to get into the Eastern Palace. What she said sounded completely confusing to me. She moved closer to me, her tone nasty. A lowly servant daring to covet the crown prince. I despise perverts like you the most. I spoke up to remind her. Miss Ling, you shouldn't say such things in front of others. She froze, realizing what she'd said, her face turning pale. But unwilling to admit her mistake, she glared at me defiantly. Whatever the case, you seducing the crown prince is shameless. I realized something. How did my entering the Eastern Palace look like seducing His Highness to outsiders? Miss Ling, you're mistaken. I'm just an ordinary guard. She scoffed. An ordinary guard? Would an ordinary guard sleep next to His Highness's chambers? Who are you kidding? Now that was something I didn't appreciate hearing. But it's not something I can control. My face showed disgust. So you did seduce His Highness a man, and you have a woman's face. Even more disgusting. My expression darkened as I stared at her coldly. Suddenly an idea flashed through my mind. Seems like the Prime Minister's family is determined to secure a position by His Highness's side. Maybe I can use this to leave the capital. I gave her a gentle smile. Miss Ling's face gradually turned red. Then she glared at me viciously. Don't try to seduce me with your looks. I won't be fooled by you. How the crown prince and my older sister are perfect for each other. You better wise up and leave quickly, or you won't even know how you died. Ignoring her threats, I smiled and leaned close to whisper in her ear. She looked confused at first, then shocked. She asked suspiciously, "Is everything you said true?" I nodded eagerly. Of course. Perhaps my sincere appearance convinced her. She thought for a moment, then agreed to work with me from inside and out. It's a deal. Watching her leave, I sighed in relief while feeling a bitter pang in my heart. But my tense belly kept reminding me not to let emotions take over. Otherwise, we'd face a terrible fate. Lying in bed with my eyes closed, I tried hard to suppress those feelings. I slept until evening. Half awake, I saw His Highness coming in from outside. Get up and wash your face, then come eat. I was instantly alert. I quickly checked my clothes. Nothing seemed loose. But my lips felt a bit swollen. Thinking I'd been getting some swelling lately when waking up, I didn't worry about it. I obediently washed my face and joined His Highness for dinner. Highness raised his eyebrows and looked at me several times. I could clearly sense his improved mood. He even served me lots of dishes I liked. My appetite had grown bigger. I ate more and more without restraint. Eat slowly, no rush. It's all yours. My eyes lit up. Then I won't hold back. With His Highness's permission, I completely let loose. His Highness's table definitely had better food. I wolfed down my rice, stealing glances at His Highness between bites. The ache in my heart began spreading again. If only His Highness weren't His Highness. Then maybe I could. Because of the assassin incident, His Highness had me accompany him to the hunting grounds. Though I'd made a deal with Miss Ling, I still got plenty of dirty looks. But thankfully she helped smooth things over. Otherwise I'd definitely become a target for all those ladies. I get hungry and sleepy easily now. Just when I couldn't fight off the drowsiness, an accident happened. Yesterday's assassin suddenly emerged from the nearby woods. By the time I reacted, His Highness was already shielding me. Your Highness, be careful. A sword pierced through his shoulder. He grunted and kicked the assassin away. Then, ignoring his own safety, he protected me firmly behind him. His voice was stern and cold as he commanded the soldiers to capture the assassin. With trembling hands, I pressed several pressure points on His Highness to steady his breathing. Under the guard's cover, I quickly helped His Highness back to our quarters. I'll get to the physician. Quickly, get the physician. Everyone at the camp panicked when they saw His Highness, afraid that if something happened to His Highness, His Majesty would blame them. This is bad. The physician has been assassinated. My eyes widened in shock. The sword was poisoned. His Highness lay in bed and coughed up blood. The attendants around us had red eyes, while some of the third prince's people outside were still chattering, demanding to see His Highness, as if they were hoping the crown prince wouldn't make it. His Highness's eyes were ice cold. Ha! A bunch of clowns. My eyes flashed coldly as I fiercely drew my sword. I rushed outside and stabbed the loudest shouter. They never expected me to actually attack in public. The whole place fell silent. I looked over their faces and sneered. His Highness is recovering. If anyone else barks like a dog and brings bad, next time my sword goes straight through your heart. His Highness's loyal supporters gained confidence and escorted them out like an iron wall. Miss Ling and I exchanged glances. I hesitated for a moment, then closed my eyes painfully and returned to His Highness's side. With red eyes, I started undressing him, but he still had the strength to smile. This little wound is nothing to me. Ichi. Don't worry, Your Highness, you are the Crown Prince of Dalian, the future pillar of Dalian. You shouldn't have blocked that sword from me. My tears fell silently. He grabbed my hand and intertwined our fingers. With others around, I instinctively tried to pull away. Hiss. I immediately stopped moving and anxiously checked on him. But with a strong pull, he closed the distance between us. I don't believe you don't understand my heart. I trembled. But we're both men. He cut off my words, looking into my eyes with a hazy but determined gaze. Jia, trust me, Ki. I froze, tears flowing again. Yeah, Jia isn't alone anymore. Don't cry. After saying this, he gradually lost consciousness and fainted. Overwhelming fear consumed me. I didn't have time to think deeply about His Highness's last words, frantically calling his name, trying to wake him up, but his lips had already turned black, constantly showing how deadly the poison was. My mind was in complete chaos, and my tightly bound belly started acting up too. Suddenly, I remembered the shadow guards had life-saving pills, but the shadow guards hadn't appeared for so long, and I'd already returned my share to the chief. Seeing His Highness getting worse, I touched my belly, and decisively went to his wound, to suck out all the poisoned blood. Seeing fresh red blood, I sighed in relief. Just then the shadow guards returned, seeing that I'd bought time for His Highness. They quickly gave us both pills without much explanation. His Highness's condition gradually improved, but he didn't wake for a long time, and he'd occasionally flush red, all over with waves of heat. When news reached the capital, His Majesty was furious and immediately sent the head physician. After checking his pulse, the head physician gravely wrote a prescription. Then he asked if His Highness had encountered anything unusual in recent months. He glanced at me meaningfully, and told everything about that night when corrupt officials drugged them. The head physician pondered for a while, saying the remaining poison in His Highness's body could be cured by taking medicine on schedule. The flushing and heat waves were probably because the drug effects lingered. I looked at Jingxiu in surprise. After 4 months, the drug effects were still there. He nodded, saying His Highness had an episode once every month. He glanced at me again, saying His Highness enjoyed it every time. My heart skipped a beat, then pounded wildly. The head physician stroked his beard angrily, huffily telling Jingxiu not to let His Highness be so reckless. Without an antidote, just find a woman from the back courtyard. His Highness is the heir to Dalian. We can't be careless. Hearing this, my face showed no reaction, but my heart plummeted. After seeing off the head physician, Jingxiu gave some instructions and left me alone with His Highness. I sat by his side for a long time, quietly staring at his face in a daze. My hand unconsciously touched his face, moving downward. Then I took his hand and placed it on my belly. I smiled bitterly. This might be their only chance to interact. Late at night, with others' help covering for me, I left the camp. Your Highness, my existence is a stain. Someday I'll bring you harm. Please forgive me for leaving without saying goodbye. I headed south, being very careful and taking only small roads. It took almost half a month before I met my friend Fanting at our secret rendezvous point. I pushed open the door to see him lounging carelessly on the couch with his eyes closed. You're quite a few days late. Tell me, how will you make it up to me? I ignored him and made myself at home. I immediately removed all my bindings. I hadn't used the binding cloth since leaving. During the journey, my belly had grown quite a bit. I could barely hide it anymore. He sprang up with bright eyes, full of curiosity. Let me see your belly. He pulled me onto the couch and lifted up my shirt. He frowned and reached out to feel around. Your belly. I couldn't help feeling panicked. What's wrong? Is there a problem? It might be twins. I was stunned speechless. After checking my pulse, he started cursing. You still have poison in your system. Do you have a death wish? Why didn't you see a doctor? Then he frantically rummaged through his pile of luggage. finally finding a pill for me to swallow. He gave me a look and said irritably, I told you to get rid of it when we first found out, but you wouldn't listen. Now what, twins, what are we gonna do? I scrambled to my feet. That's crazy. Didn't you say you'd help me deliver? If you can't even do this, that famous doctor reputation of yours is just hot air. I looked down at my belly feeling wronged. Who knew there'd be two in there? It's all because of... And why am I even pregnant? I'm a man for crying out loud. Fan Ting started looking at me with curiosity. Actually, the world is full of strange things. Men giving birth isn't unheard of. My master told me about a mysterious hidden clan where men can bear children. Since you're an orphan, maybe you're one of their lost children. When it comes to my parents, the more I suffered as a kid, the more I hate them. Fighting dogs for scraps, barely clothed. If His Highness hadn't found me, I'd be dead by now. Sounds like they got a lot to answer for. Fan Ting smiled awkwardly and changed the subject. Does your guy know you ran off with a belly full of baby? What, my guy? Don't talk nonsense. I shot him a look and said with a bitter smile, what happened between us was just an accident. He's the crown prince. If the court officials found out he went against social order and did something so taboo with a man, I'll handle it myself. Fan Ting's eyes wandered, lost in thought. I know that, despite his cheerful act, he's just as miserable as I am. I heard him mention someone he liked before, planning to propose, but it never happened. Fan Ting shut himself in the valley for ages after that. He only came out recently because of my situation. We're both outcasts, I guess. So I tried to comfort him. How about I come back to the valley with you? You help deliver my baby, then we live together. You're all alone anyway, so I'll have the kid call you father. He looked horrified. Don't do anything crazy. What's the big deal? Nobody can get into your valley anyway. I rolled over carelessly. My nerves finally relaxed, and now I was exhausted. Hey, don't fall asleep. Come on, I've been traveling non-stop without rest. I'm beat. Let me sleep, and we'll keep going after. Half asleep, I felt someone stroking my belly. Even kissed it. I jolted awake and found myself in familiar arms. Coming to my senses, I clutched my belly, not daring to move or believe it. I was so careful on the road, made sure no one was following me. Why is he here? And I just met up with Fan Ting. I said in a shaky voice, Your Highness, why are you here? He held me tight. I could feel his body trembling. My heart sank. Your Highness, what's wrong? Are you okay? Without answering, he turned me around, and I was back on the bed. He leaned over me, nuzzling my neck and nibbling my ear. I shivered reflexively. He chuckled low, his voice hoarse. Little Seven ran off with my child without permission. Very naughty. You need punishment. He knows. Warm lips touched mine, cutting off my words. Close together, only our breathing could be heard. I pushed him away and backed up, but he wouldn't let me. I could feel his heat. Hearing his rag breathing, I remembered the imperial doctor's words. I pushed him away. Your Highness, you can't. You need to find. He came after me again. Ha, Little Seven is so cruel. Why won't you think about what I want? He sounded hurt, but his hands were bold. He actually took my hand and guided it down. I only want. He gripped my hand tight. I only want to be with Little Seven. Your Highness, don't call me Your Highness. Call me Kia Han. I cried, and let His Highness do as he pleased. I'm here for everything. Little Seven, don't be afraid. Later, His Highness held me contentedly while cleaning up, then kissed my eyes. Stroking my belly, he made me promise over and over not to leave him again with the baby. He wanted to hear me say it. When I refused, he got more worked up and came at me again. After several rounds, I was dizzy and agreed. When I woke up, we were already heading back to the capital. All that worry and planning for nothing. When the carriage stopped to rest and His Highness wasn't around, I was ready to tear into Fan Ting. That traitor. No wonder he seemed so guilty that day. He'd already contacted His Highness and was just waiting for me to walk into the trap. When I found him, he was talking to a gorgeous man. Prince Jenna, I've backed off as you wanted. Please leave me alone. Stay away from me, okay? I hid and listened to their whole conversation. My jaw dropped. The person Fan Ting wanted to marry was Prince Jenan. He's got some nerve. But it seems Prince Jenan has someone in his heart, and betrayed Fan Ting's feelings for that person. Even tried to banish Fan Ting from Jenan Pass for that person. Fan Ting was heartbroken, but let them be happy. Now he's back to pester him again. I couldn't stand it, and rushed over to pull Fan Ting away. But Prince Jenan stopped me. I glared at him angrily, almost laughing from rage. The mighty Prince Jenan, forcing himself on a commoner. Aren't you ashamed? But Prince Jenan stared hard at my face, looking more serious. Seeing him stare at me like that, Fan Ting broke free and stepped in front of me. Don't look at him with those disgusting eyes. He's not someone you can covet. But Prince Jenan's eyes went red. So similar, really similar. Fan Ting froze, then growled through gritted teeth. Qingxi, enough! Ting, I didn't lie to you. This time I definitely won't mistake him. He looks exactly like my little father. He must be my brother. Fan Ting and I were both stunned. I tugged at Fan Ting's sleeve and asked what was going on. After staring at me for a moment, Fan Ting was dumbfounded too. Who would have thought the hidden clan he mentioned was connected to Prince Jinan? Prince Jinan was overjoyed, but when he saw my belly, his face darkened. You're pregnant. So you're the one the crown prince is looking for. He was furious. He grabbed Fan Ting and me to leave, but His Highness's soldiers blocked us. Prince Jinan scoffed. You think you can stop me? What a joke. At his command, soldiers hidden nearby swarmed forward. The two forces faced off, eager to show their skills. But the returning crown prince stopped them. 4 people sat in the carriage. His Highness held me in his arms, ignoring Prince Jinan's anger. You say, little Seven is your twin brother. Show me proof. If I'd known you were looking for a brother, I never would have made that deal. Prince Jinan looked at me with wounded resentment. He wanted comfort from Fan Ting. Fan Ting turned away. Neither of us paid him any attention, so I got caught so fast because Prince Jinan secretly tipped them off. His expression stiff, he smiled bitterly and told the whole story. If what he said was true, then I wasn't abandoned. I was stolen by enemies. My family had been searching for me all along. My father nearly cried himself blind looking for me. Even on his deathbed, he begged Prince Jinan to find me. I controlled my emotions and asked calmly, if we're twin brothers, why don't we look alike? When it comes to looks, Prince Jinan is unmatched. Even the Prime Minister's daughter would pale next to him. I don't think I look like him at all. You're the spitting image of little father. You must be my brother. Everyone says I look more like our father. And little father said we both have birthmarks on our thighs. Yours is on the left, mine's on the right. He glanced at Fan Ting, his face reddening. Ting and His Highness can vouch for that, right? Fan Ting choked on water and coughed violently. I do have a birthmark on my left thigh. After both sides drew them out, Prince Jinan hugged me tight, crying like a child. My tears started falling too. After the tears, Prince Jinan happily held my hand, saying he'd take me back to Jinan Pass, to honor our ancestors. He shot His Highness a vicious look. He sneered, when brother's child is born, we'll add them to the family records. Our Qing family children must never be left out in the world. His Highness kept smiling, but his eyes turned cold. Little Seven will go back naturally, but not now. After I marry Little Seven, and the child turns 1, I'll bring Little Seven to pay respects to the in-laws. Prince Jinan scoffed. Your Highness should get past the court officials first, get permission from the Emperor and Empress, then talk about marriage. But that stepmother would love to see you never rise to power, so her precious son can inherit the throne. Plus you're still recovering from that assassination attempt. Like this, what right do you have to protect my brother? Brother should come back to Jinan Pass with me. With friends and family, he'll be happy. Thinking of those troublesome officials, everyone fell silent. This isn't unprecedented, so why fear it? Even if your ancestors had male consorts, times have clearly changed now. Regular officials might not care, but you're different. You're the crown prince. I hung my head dejectedly and spoke bitterly. Your Highness. He's right. My presence will only cause you trouble. I shall return to Jinan Pass. When the child is born, you can send someone to see them anytime. His Highness gripped my hand tightly, his eyes showing danger as he looked at me. What he said next was utterly arrogant, perfectly fitting his status. So what? If you want to be infamous forever, don't drag my brother into it. History books, they're written by the victors. Anyone who dares to speak out of turn will be silenced. His Highness glanced at Fan Ting. I suppose the King of Jinan thinks the same. I'm different from you. Jinan Pass is open. Minded men can marry each other there. His Highness laughed heartily, his gaze determined. You're right. The capital is indeed too conservative. Seeing me shrink back, he reached up and gently scraped my nose. I said I'd handle everything. Why doesn't Xiao Qia ever trust me? He definitely needs to be punished. Ignoring the others present, he made me lean against his chest, then moved close to my lips and kissed me fiercely. His quick movements left me no time to dodge. Then he pulled away, a silver thread still connecting our lips. As he looked defiantly at King of Jinan, the King of Jinan was furious. Li Qiang, you bastard! His Highness ignored him and whispered in my ear, making me flush with heat. That night, he did say he'd handle everything. But who would think of it that way in that situation? I pinched his waist hard. He pretended to wince and showed off again in front of the King of Jinan. Seeing the King of Jinan's frustration, he slowly revealed his preparations left behind in the capital before this trip. After speaking, his eyes curved with a smile, expressing regret that time was too short. Otherwise, he really wanted to witness the scene of the third prince and the emperor destroying each other. I know His Highness's methods. He kills without leaving a trace. Some even die while still feeling grateful to him. I signaled Fan Ting to quickly take the King of Jinan away, before His Highness adds him to his ledger. The King of Jinan was reluctant, but Fan Ting just looked at him once and got off the carriage himself. He bit his lip and struggled for a moment, then followed him off the carriage. Brother, I'm sorry. I can't let him go anymore. It's better they clear things up between them soon. Seeing my distraction, His Highness nuzzled my neck resentfully. Xiao can only look at me. I never knew His Highness could be so clingy. Helpless, I could only humor him, but he gradually moved lower, pausing at my chest. As if remembering something, he chuckled and whispered something in my ear. My face reddened as I quickly pulled my clothes together, giving him an annoyed glare. I looked down at my chest. That can't be right. When the King of Jenin returns, I need to ask him properly. Before we even reached the capital, we'd already been attacked by several groups of assassins. To give those in the capital a good push, we pretended to be defeated and jumped off a cliff. Sure enough, news soon spread that the emperor was gravely ill. The various factions fought openly and secretly, leaving the capital's citizens in fear, with officials keeping their heads down, afraid any misstep would implicate them. Since the third prince had the most power, he ended up as regent. According to reports, the empress and third prince served the emperor daily, forbidding other princes from visiting, while constantly scheming behind the scenes. Seems the third prince has the upper hand, daring to poison his own father, like mother, like son. He's just a clown. His Highness fed me a spoonful of porridge, smiling faintly. How could that man be so easily manipulated? Just wait. The real show is yet to come. His Highness had told me about the late empress. The emperor used the late empress as a target, letting the other concubines torment her to death. Only after she died did the emperor realize his mistake. With his beloved gone, he felt both love and hate for this son. He named him crown prince as the legitimate heir, yet coldly watched as His Highness was targeted by concubines, mocked by officials. He only occasionally threw scraps of favor, forcing His Highness to be grateful and play along. His Highness struggled at every step. With all that accumulated resentment, no wonder he hates him so much. I silently patted his back to comfort him. The shadow guards quietly returned to His Highness's side. After reporting on the capital's situation, they left again. Before leaving, their leader came to see me. He looked at my belly with hesitation, his surprise betraying his emotions. He patted my shoulder. Ki, the brothers asked me to tell you something. He's made it big. Don't forget us when you're rich and powerful. I twitched my mouth. Sure, this isn't them complaining about covering my shifts. The leader coughed lightly. Hey, some things are better left unsaid. Alright, take care of yourself. Next time we meet, I'll have to bow to you. After the leader and others learned about my situation, though surprised, they didn't look at me strangely and were very concerned about my health. This gave me even more strength. Leader, thank you for taking care of me all these years. He waved his hand and vanished in a flash. The capital grew more chaotic. The oppressed fourth and fifth princes accused the third prince of patricide, staging a coup under the banner of clearing out corrupt officials. According to the citizens, that night the sky turned blood red. The air reeked of blood, and no one dared go outside for fear of getting caught up in it. Under His Highness's secret manipulation, the third prince went mad with bloodlust, actually killing the other two princes. The emperor couldn't pretend anymore. He spat blood, grabbed his sword, and ordered his secret loyalists to arrest the third prince. But somehow, the third prince also died unexpectedly. The empress and the mothers of the fourth and fifth princes cried themselves blind. The furious emperor then stripped them all of their titles, throwing them in the cold palace to fend for themselves. This time the emperor was truly ill, except for the hostage prince still in swaddling clothes. Only the missing crown prince remained of his sons. When he issued orders to find him dead or alive, we had already returned to the capital. The court officials got the news the next day. Their aloof crown prince had returned with a man in his arms. A pregnant man, no less. But surprisingly, they didn't react much. When they learned I was carrying twins, they even congratulated His Highness enthusiastically. The King of Jenin could hardly believe it. After observing for several days and seeing no real problems, the King of Jenin received a letter and hastily left the capital. Fan Ting didn't leave with him. But after he left, Fan Ting got completely drunk. I didn't dare interfere in their affairs. His Highness proudly asked for credit and wanted a reward. Just then, the Emperor sent someone to the mansion looking for him. I said teasingly, "You should go quickly. Don't waste time." His Highness didn't want to leave me alone and wanted to take me along. But the head eunuch stopped him. "Your Highness, His Majesty's orders specify. Please don't put me in a difficult position." His Highness stared at him intently. The cold look in his eyes made him shiver a few times, but he still stubbornly refused. His Highness didn't make things difficult. Gave a few orders to the guards, hugged me, whispered a few words in my ear, then left with them. Right after he left, I pretended to be tired and said I needed to rest. Sure enough, someone tried to block my path halfway, but they couldn't get near me. Before being taken down by the mansion's hidden attendants, Prince Jenin left for me before he departed. His Highness hasn't returned for a long time, and he took Fan Ting with him too. I wasn't anxious, and waited obediently in the mansion for news from him. After waiting 2 days just when I couldn't sit still anymore, the Emperor's imperial edict for marriage arrived, and I was summoned to the palace. The Emperor was leaning against his bed, seeing my big belly. The disgust in his eyes was unconcealed, yet he had no choice but to compromise. "I've granted your wish. Now quickly have the divine physician make pills for me." His Highness showed no reaction, standing beside me and gently asking about my health these past 2 days. "Crown Prince." The old Emperor coughed until his veins bulged, but no one dared to approach. They all kept their heads down. The timid ones were already kneeling on the ground, trembling. Even the old emperor's trusted ministers and the hidden guards by his side remained unmoved. You deceived me. His voice carried despair, his cloudy eyes fixed intensely on His Highness. You have them all under your control. Are you planning to commit treason and patricide? His Highness didn't even glance at him, and he stopped struggling, collapsing on the bed with his eyes closed. What fourth and fifth did was your doing, wasn't it? And third too. He and his mother were ambitious, but they weren't truly bold enough to go that far. Without someone deliberately guiding them, they wouldn't have poisoned me. Your blood brothers. Why must you destroy each other completely? I rolled my eyes several times, muttering loud enough for everyone to hear. Yeah. All the princes are pure as snow. They're nothing without someone leading them. The old emperor heard this and coughed even more violently, even spitting up blood. His Highness signaled Fan Ting to keep him alive. After a few needles from Fan Ting, the old emperor couldn't move at all, couldn't even open his mouth, only able to blink his eyes. What are you saying, Father Emperor? When everything happened, your son was still dodging assassins. When my brothers got into trouble, I as their older brother felt terrible pain too, but this accusation is one I cannot bear. He took my hand, walked close to the old emperor, and leaned down to his ear. I saw him whisper a few words. The old emperor's eyes widened, but he was helpless. His eyes rolled back and he fainted. I don't know what exactly he said to make the old emperor so angry. Fan Ting moved like a puppet, skillfully stepping forward to stabilize the old emperor's life. On the way back, His Highness meticulously arranged all the wedding details. He kept chattering the whole way, and finally crouched in front of me, talking to the children in my belly. You need to be good, okay? Don't tire out Daddy. Looking at His Highness acting like a child, my heart softened, suddenly feeling a swelling sensation in my chest. Because of the twins, at 7 months my belly was already huge. I didn't pay much attention, and fell asleep in His Highness's arms when I got tired. By almost 9 months, my belly was so big, I could only lie in bed, feeling miserable. His Highness stayed with me every day. He even moved court business to the courtyard. Every night he insisted on sleeping with me, no matter how I tried to send him away. Before the children were born, Prince Zhenan rushed back to the capital. He hurriedly took out a pill and gave it to me, telling me to swallow it. Brother, this is our family's secret medicine, left by little father. He said, if it were me, I should take it. He looked at Fan Ting and blushed. I coughed and felt my face heat up. His Highness handed the pill to Fan Ting. Fan Ting examined it, then gave it to me to swallow. Prince Zhenan was accompanied by a young woman, said to be a descendant of the holy physician, who left the clan with little father. For men giving birth, it was safer to leave it to them. The woman was extremely excited to see me, wanting to stay by my side constantly to observe. The jealous His Highness ordered she could only accompany me during the day. At night she had to stay in the next courtyard and not wander around without orders. She was furious and wanted Prince Zhenan's support. But Prince Zhenan spent every day chasing after Fan Ting, nowhere to be seen. So she had to swallow her anger. Finally, with the help of 2 divine physicians, I successfully delivered 2 children, a pair of twins. The first pair of twins in the Daliang royal family. At their birth, heavenly omens appeared. Auspicious signs brought nationwide celebration, making His Highness's ascension smoother, and no one dared question my place beside His Highness anymore. After the coronation, came the grand wedding. I didn't want to show my face in public, but His Highness insisted I give him proper status. With no choice, I had to compromise. The grand wedding was extremely elaborate. After the magnificent ceremony ended, I was already collapsed on the bed, but the swelling in my chest reminded me it was time. With the wet nurse's help, I bashfully expressed what was inside. While breathing a sigh of relief, I noticed His Highness, no, His Majesty. He was staring at me with bloodshot eyes. With a wave of his hand, only the 2 of us remained in the room. During our intimate moment, he buried his face in my chest. No matter how I cried and begged, he wouldn't give up. Xiao. So sweet. Such vulgar words. From now on, this can only be for me. Okay. I refused to agree, but he slowed down, then occasionally made hundreds of thrusts, forcing me to surrender. Unexpectedly, this made him even more excited. When I couldn't take it anymore and was about to faint, this battle finally ended. Before sleep, he kissed me with utmost tenderness. Xiaoqi, I'll love you forever. I nodded seriously and returned his kiss. Okay. It's a promise.